Our speaker today is Chris Carlisle, head strength and conditioning coach for the Seattle Seahawks. He is also receiving the Distinguished Alumni Award later today. Chris has had a distinguished career spanning 4 decades. They had to put that in there, didn't they? Sorry about that. He's been involved with 19 national championship teams. He's coached and taught in 6 different states and has worked closely with some prominent collegiate as well as professional athletes who have changed the way sports are perceived. In addition, he has worked with numerous All-Americans, 3 Heisman Trophy winners, Olympic gold medalists, and world champions. His older brother Steve also graduated from Chadron State, and they both played football with the Eagles here. Family means a great deal to Chris, who counts his parents as the most influential role models in his life. And his wife, Luan, he and his wife, Luan, have 1 son, Alex. Please join me in welcoming today's commencement speaker and Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, Mr. Chris Carlisle.
I'm a professional coach. I don't hide behind a podium. This is the most important day of my life. Truly, it is. You may think that's gratuitous. But everything I've done in my life up to this point has led me here today. Think about that. Today is my most important day. I can't do anything about yesterday. Yesterday is gone. I can learn from it, I can remember it, but I can't change it. But everything that happened yesterday led me to today. Tomorrow, I can't do anything about tomorrow. I can plan for it. I can plan for tomorrow, plan for futures. But like Woody Allen once said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. The thing I have that you don't have right now is perspective. It's easy to gain perspective when they tell you have a 40% chance of living because you have cancer. And as you're sitting on the table and they're putting the poison in your veins, you get to think about life. And when they shoot you full of radiation, you get to think about life. But do not call me a survivor, because I never became a victim. They told me, you're gonna lose your hair. Well, God took care of that already, all right? They said, you will not be able to work through this. I did not miss 1 day of work. That is why today, the opportunity to speak with you, with your family, friends, is the most important day of your life, of my life. We get to do this together. Understand, during this spring, there will be 1.87 million college graduates. 1.87 million graduates. I was lucky. When I graduated, there were 979,477. So I only had to become 1 of a million. Now here's the thing, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna become that 1? I've done it. The class of 1985 that graduated in the United States, nobody has done what I have done in my profession. Dr. Ryan told you what I've done. Of the graduates in 1985, nobody did that. I am 1, and then there's 979,432 others. How are you gonna be 1? There's 200 of you, or around 200, I've been told. What are you gonna do? Here's some of the things I did. I've got to go back to 1966. I lived in Chadron. 50 years ago. 5 years old. One of my most favorite things in the world to do was to go get school supplies. We'd go down to the dime store on Main Street, and my mom would buy me crayons, notebooks, pencil and paper. And my mom would buy me that 8-pack of Crayola crayons. All right? The big thick ones, about the size of my hand. All right? The big thick, and I only got 8. That's all I needed. And I'd go to school, and there'd be the kids with 64 crayons. And you know what's cool about that box? It had a built-in pencil sharpener. How about that stuff? 30 years in coaching and teaching, here's what I found. And this is a sad fact. At the end of a school year, my crayons were ground down. I was a grinder when I was coloring, man. If it was a blue sky, dadgummit, it was a blue sky. All right? That person was 64 at the end of the school year. They still had crayons they never touched. Mine were in a little bag. They weren't even Ziplocs when I was young. The little sandwich bags that folded inside. You know what I'm talking about. Mine were all broken up and used and everything. That's kind of a metaphor for who I am. I'm a grinder. I never got a medal. I never got a little rope around my neck. I was a guy in the middle holding that bell curve up. All right? I was never the tallest. I was never the strongest. I was never the fastest. But I used everything I had. Every single thing, every inch of my body, I have used to get where I am at. One of only 32 in the world of what I do. Think about that. There are 100 senators in the United States. There are 100 of them. That's an easy job. I'm one of 32. All right? Simple job. Amazing. So I ask you, when you leave, use all your crayons. Use that salmon. All right? Use magenta. Use copper. Use cyan. Cerulean, if you can use that. Use it. Because if you're not going to be that one. You're not going to be that one. And that's what it's about. They took a survey. People 18 to 22 years old. 80% of you want to be rich. I don't know what the other 20% are doing, studying for the clergy or something, but hey, God be with you, all right? 50% of you want to be famous. So right there, I know you want something out of life rather than being average, because that's your choice. You can be significant, or you can be average. A good friend of mine was Navy SEAL. Played football. He talked about being average. He said, average has no secrets. No time does somebody come up and ask you, hey, how did you become so mediocre? Do you want to be average? If you're a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor, why not be the best? This is your opportunity. You have everything out in front of you. Use this opportunity to be significant. I was one of 200, and I've done okay, and I wasn't the smartest. Where did she go? She left. Dare to take risks. Dare to take risks. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Me standing up here is very hard for me. I had 2 older brothers, and I would chase them everywhere. And I wanted to be old like them, and I wanted to do what they wanted to do. And in the meantime, I knocked out my 2 front teeth. And so it was during the time when I learned to speak, and I developed a slur and a stutter. And the speech teacher at school went to my mom, called my mom up, said, "Mrs. Carlisle, I'm sorry, but your son will never be a public speaker." Dare to be different. Be special. Make calculated risks. I am here today because of a guy named Tim Weiss. Tim Weiss was an offensive line coach. He recruited me, told me, "You're the only center we're recruiting." When I got here, Todd Pierce, the incumbent, was here. Cleet Butler was here. Glenn Weiss, his nephew, was here. Dirk Van Heater was here. Sam Mavrakis was here. But see, Tim and my knowledge and my association with Tim got me to the University of Arkansas to do my master's degree. There you go. Nobody else? Dr. Ryan now is a Razorback, all right? I thought he'd stand up a little bit. Because Tim got me to Blytheville, Arkansas, I met my beautiful wife, right here, LaJuan. Hey, she deserves that, all right? Because putting up with me for 26 years is no easy walk right there, I promise you. From Blytheville, he got me to the University of Arkansas. From there, I met a guy named John Stuckey. John Stuckey and I ended up at the University of Tennessee, and Pete Carroll, who's my boss right now, had worked with John at the University of Arkansas and at North Carolina State. And so if I've never met Tim Weiss at Chadron State, I'd never got to Arkansas to meet John Stuckey. And when Pete Carroll called John Stuckey and said, "Hey, I need to know the best strength coach you know," he gave him my name, and that is why I am where I'm at today, because Chadron State. Think about it. Who did you run into? Who sits next to you? Who work with you? Which of these professors, which of these people that you met during this time is going to be that person? Bill Gates' roommate was a guy named Steve Ballmer in college. Steve Ballmer just bought a basketball team for $2 billion. Heck of a roommate to have. So look at your roommate and say, "Dude, let's go." It's going to be hard though. This path. It's just not using all your crayons. It's just not taking calculated risks. It's just not daring to take risks. There's going to be brick walls. Dr. Randy Pausch, in his book, The Last Lecture, said those brick walls you run into, they're not there to stop you. They're there to see how badly you want something. As you go through life, you will constantly be confronted with the easy and the hard. Choose the hard. In a movie called The League of Their Own, the star baseball player, played by Gina Davis, was stepping back and stepping out of baseball. It was about a women's baseball league during World War II. Her coach was a guy named Jimmy Dugan, played by Tom Hanks. And Dottie says, "Hey, it's just too hard." And Jimmy Dugan walks and stops. He goes, "It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, then anybody could do this. It's the hard that makes it special." A few years ago, you came to a crossroads in your life. Where do I go to college? Do I go to college? That was your crossroads, not now. You made the right choice. You came here and got your degree in the best college in the United States. It is up to you now to take the tools, to use those crayons, to take risks, to do what is hard. And not just to be one of 1.87 million, but to be the one. Congratulations, and thank you very much.